Welcome, beautiful divine masculine and feminine darlings. This is the Seraphim Gypsy. I don't plan to be here for too long, but I do have a couple things to share, a little reading to do. What I will say is that I got a vision this morning. In fact, I believe, if I recall, I put a little light bulb emoji, hi baby kitty, in one of the posts that I made this morning. I think on the community board probably. And also I did a video about light pollution harassment, and I got a vision that that would pick up this morning. It's also why I made a point to put up that post, because I saw that the cause of the need for that post to go up was planning to stir the pot. And they are. I just got ready for bed, finished getting ready for bed, and the harassment attempts have started again, which is not surprising. I saw it coming. Again, it's why I made the community post this morning. But I already put the sun lamp in the window for a few minutes, so I know my point was heard. And beyond that, there was a personal reading I did today that stated that the instigation tactics were going to pick up again. There was a message of karmic people trying something and it not working. And in some cases, they try to go to a different target and then that doesn't work, so they rope or loop back around to the initial one again. And they just couldn't help themselves. Just like narcissists do, they showed their hands again. But it's not working out for them, because at this point, more people have seen that they're a problem and have told them to stop being a problem, and they're still choosing to be a problem, breaking the law while they're doing it. Do you know what happens to people who do that? They go to jail, or they get 5150, meaning since they can't seem to stop being a danger, harassment, and injurious problem for themselves or others, then they need to be locked up in a mental hospital. It's called a forced psych hold, 5150. The codes are a little different in some places, but that's the general overview. So there's that. Yeah, see, they're upset and confused. I don't understand how you're so calm. I guess they must have misread and misjudged. I picked that up too. Based on the statements that I was making today, I picked up that karmics were presuming that I'm freaking out. Why? You're the one who assumed that there was a specific tone in my words. And now you're mad that you don't hear it in my voice because you imagined something that wasn't there. I can't relate. They're still in legal trouble for what they did before. In fact, they're in more now, because not only did they choose not to stop, they chose to continue it. So there's that. What was that this morning? Besmirched. Picked up a dream prophecy this morning where Divine Masculine said that the karmic energies or people were trying to besmirch, or they had besmirched the Divine Feminine's name, which was him saying that they tried to slander and defame her to ruin her reputation. Usually it's to manipulate a situation or an outcome or people's opinions in one direction or another. Usually it's against whoever's being slandered and in favor of whoever's doing the slandering. Her backbiting, yep. So they trash talk people who aren't there to stand up for themselves or tell the whole side of the story, including the parts of the story that the slanderer leaves out because they think it makes them look bad. Or they think it shows the innocence of the person they're trying to slander or makes them look good, so they don't want you to know that part. There's a karmic energy, karmic female energy panicking. Because they feel like they're in trouble, like they started instigating again because they thought that they had gotten away with whatever it was that they were doing, and they thought that, I guess, the victim was in a vulnerable position or upset. But now that they're realizing that they misjudged the situation and the victim, they're seeming to regret, this is the energy behind it, they're seeming to regret retaliating or instigating, or this is the energy that they're about to be in. Something about those consequences coming back, the karma coming back, etc. And I'm hearing a karmic female say, I thought you wouldn't report me. Well, that was stupid of her. Anyway. So there's that. Namaste. Cheers. There's a karmic who's confused. Like I told you, this is somebody who seems to have gone through my community board earlier. Because I haven't gone live yet today. I've only been posting in the community board today. I've been busy handling stuff behind the scenes. I did take a recovery cat nap today. Took one yesterday too. And again, made that post about karmics using attempted sleep deprivation as a weapon and how to rebalance that. So after I made a post on how to rebalance an attempted weaponized sleep deprivation situation, or why it's important to regulate a sleep schedule more specifically, for the first time in 3 days, they start with the harassment again. But those posts that were made, this person's going through and realizing that they nitpicked each one incorrectly. It's very strange, I feel, to try to make their life decisions based around what we do or don't do, or try to do things to control our... These people are psychotic. What's wrong with you? Like, seriously, what's wrong with you? It's 10:22 on the... Let's do that one. Clock here on the East Coast. So I hear gravely misjudged. Yes, they did. Right. I hear wasn't upset, was educating. Yeah, see, they're realizing, based on the things that I was speaking about, I guess they thought that I was upset. Oh, why are you ready for bed? I thought you took a nap, was the other statement, right? Well, because I've been re-regulating, yeah. Oh, you took a nap? I thought we burned you out. Oh, why are you already ready to write? They're upset and confused, right? They thought I was upset. Now they're upset because they realized they misjudged. They started making choices based on the education pieces I was posting about because they imagined that I guess I must be, sitting behind the scenes crying about it? No, I was calmly posting those things earlier and then I took a nap. What do you mean? Yeah, fuck, we messed up. Yeah, I guess they thought I was upset, so they thought they would start their instigation and they thought it would push me over the edge. And now they realize they misjudged, so now they look stupid, extra stupid. It didn't work. They look like the instigators I've been saying they are. I mean, it looks bad because it is bad, but it looks bad too and they can't hide it. That was dumb of them. But speculation confirmed. They straight up stalked my community board today and thought they knew my mood. No. Oh, that's hilarious. Gift of solitude. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm about to crack up. And there's snow on the ground still. Look, see this tried to come out in reverse, but like I said, they were just going through my community board, presuming that they knew. I guess the tone of my voice based on the words they were reading. No, they were imagining. That's hilarious. I was just over there educating. That's so funny. So I did a personal today earlier too. Look, see? These people are finished. They tried to stir the pot again because they want attention, but they're not important. So that's it. They're being cleansed out. Before I took a nap, I did a little personal, and one of my personal cards was a mention to connect with the animals and to just be mindful of my connection with animals, which I do, and I was. My cute little kitty cat, one of them, he jumped up onto one of the shelves that I keep my many decks of cards, or at least a portion of them. One of them fell off and it spilled a few of the cards out, so I took the ones that fell and I pulled them out and I just tossed them in a stack. I put the rest of them back on the shelf, the ones that didn't come out of the deck. But these ones did, so let's go through them. Because it was a reference of these karmics. This was a very specific karmic deck that I don't use very often, but it does come out when they're being quite nasty. So these toxic, like fanatic, violent, weird, stalking, obsessive, instigative, antagonistic people. This reminded me of the NASA pee drinking video that I put up the other day. I'll link it in the down bar so you have the full context, but the message was that let me explain the video first. Okay, I think it's a real video. It's not, it's a funny, it's a funny comedy sketch. But there's this guy who seems to be a tester for NASA, and they've designed this machine that they're working on, trying to get it to work the way that they're hoping it'll work, which is so that they can pee in one side of it, and then in the other end of it, it'll spit out clean water after filtering out anything that's not just water, drinking water. Gross, but nonetheless. They think it'll save them space and weight, time, etc. in outer space, I guess. It's for the rocket ship. And so they've paid this guy what I can only imagine is exorbitant amounts of money to be a urine tester. And so they run pee through this machine to try to turn it into drinking water for NASA. And when it comes out the other side, whether it's yellow or not, he has to test it for the notes for that particular run of the machine to document everything. It's science. They document everything very thoroughly like that generally. And what after, goodness, thousands of tries, meaning thousands of thousands of cups of pee that he's had to taste. Of somebody else's pee, I'd imagine at that. He gets sick of it. He says, it's yellow. It's obviously not water. You drink it. And then at the end of it, I'm not drinking that, you drink it. But then at the end of it, when they do finally make water, he says, hey, we made water. Give me a cup of piss to celebrate. And so that whole breakdown of the karmic instigation and the way that they misjudge the situation and what have you, yeah, well, it's giving that. But also how the government knows that they're breaking the law and is side-eyeing them too. Especially when these people have been claiming to be good people, right? Church, superior. They've been trying to put themselves above light workers or make themselves seem superior. Power, income, power 6 out of 6, income 9. So all for profit or status gain, leverage over people. They think they're smarter and they're not. These are also people who in some cases claim to be good people, godly people, but those are those fake church people who are the types of people who a few thousand years ago would have been the ones to throw stones at Jesus if Jesus had been in the era of Salem witch trials instead of being stoned and hung on the cross with a ring of thorns, a band of thorns placed on his head. He would have been likely hung or burned at the stake, but it was the same thing. They persecuted him for healing. They persecuted him for his use of herbals and oils and medicines because they're little karmic gremlins. They're not nice churchgoers. They're not who they claim to be. And so you may need to hire a lawyer because I picked this up yesterday. Yeah, look, these people thought that they were being sneaky or they thought that their tactics were working, but they've been seen. They thought that they could gang up in a group. They wanted to sit there and gang stalk and mob together, and they thought that they were tough guy gang. They wanted to behave like mob bosses, and it was all fun and games for them. But now they're in trouble. It's not so fun anymore. So I picked up for the light workers moving forward. There are blessings coming through recording industry. There's possibly, what is that, a Billboard song, top charts, top 10. So maybe this is in regards to the music industry for some. It's definitely some form of artistry. In other cases with the Billboard background, this is just improvement or gain or growth in a situation or from a situation, savings and loans, but there's some kind of boost in finances, including from people who tried to cause harm to artists, who tried to get money by hurting or stealing from artists. And savings and loans, they're going to have to pay back what they've done. Yeah, secrets man was not meant to know, but it's in reverse. See, they didn't want people to know what they were doing. They've been exposed and they're upset about it now, but arms smuggler, see, they got caught stealing. also trying to weaponize, what did I say, mobbing? Well, mobbing is a form of menacing. The gang stalking mobbing. It's when multiple people group up against someone together. And arms smuggling, or more specifically an arms charge like that, mobbing is a type of menacing. Menacing is a form of brandishing. Usually, when you hear the term brandishing, it's brandishing a weapon, like a gun, which is why this arms smuggling is accurate. But in this case, because they chose to stalk and target people, because they chose to be bullies, they chose to weaponize themselves and their behaviors and their group of bullies against people. So they chose to become the weapon themselves. The mobbers chose to menace. Menacing is a form of brandishing. They chose to essentially try to be the guns themselves, the weapons themselves. They were not politically correct. There was no state of correctness in what they were doing, not legally, ethically, or otherwise. So I picked up that, whoa, cards just fell. In this case, this is a situation where toxic energies are neutralized, right? They're held accountable, they're finally stopped, they're in their tracks. But more specifically, what I got from this was, oh, Delray just said Black Ops. He used to like that video game. He played Black Ops. He was good at it too. He didn't play it all the time, but when he did, he liked that one. So it's a rescue mission. It's like Divine Masculine coming in to pull Divine Feminine out of some kind of... I heard that earlier. When you're in the trenches and you're under fire, I will cover you. She's been in the trenches. He says they made her life a trench and then tried to keep her stuck in it, blaming her for being there. It's not her fault. She didn't ask for that, sign up for it, or get proper training first. She had to figure it out as she went. Yes, she did. 2233. Right? So these people try to constantly just throw a bunch of crap at her, constantly bombard her, harass her, overwhelm her, inundate her. It's called inundation. Just to overload somebody with nonsense. See? But there is some kind of legal, professional, or support system coming in for the light workers to apprehend these criminals. This could be also even Divine Masculine coming through as some kind of emergency protector force, even with an attorney. He may just come through and say, look, we need to get you out of this situation. I have a solution. I've got a lawyer. Let's go. Pretty much. There may be a little bit more to it than that, but he come through for Christmas or around Christmas time. Peaceful, because these people were not. He says also they're going to get karma for trying to harass you with Christmas lights around Christmas time, when Christmas is about the birth of Jesus and they're being the least godly. They're not being the least bit godly, he says, rather. Yeah. So there is a very powerful, naturally driven spiritual force, spiritual energy. It's giving high priest to the Divine Feminine's high priestess energy to who wants to come bail her out of this dangerous situation. Now this has money on it, so there could be financial bailouts. This could be the hiring of the lawyer here, right? Pay for an attorney or something. Maybe he has an attorney for his job, or I don't know, whatever it is that he has. Maybe he recruited one outright, but he might have already known one. Either way, so the bailout could be, yes, generally speaking, if you're hiring a lawyer, it would be paying a lawyer to do so. So that also plays out, but the bailout could simply just be coming through with this emergency support. Including towards these people who've been trying to make people sick or forcibly medicate them, especially for profit. Because some people did both. Some people made others sick in order to get money or collect money off of them. And then somebody's asking how they do that. Well, my daughter and I both had people try to do it to us, actually do it to us through the Social Security Administration and through the use of Social Security numbers that they should not have had access to in the first place. So they're filing fraud, in other words, is the question, is what I'm hearing. Yes. To answer your question, yes. Government fraud at that. It's Munchausen by proxy. Right? Somebody makes somebody sick or hurts them and then takes the person's social security number that they hurt and then goes and files some sort of government benefits for that person under their social security number, but the person who's been hurt and who's having benefits filed for them is not getting them. They're not the one who's being able to collect them. Someone's collecting it for them and then spending it on themselves, not the person who's qualified for the benefits. So they're hurting people to get money and then keeping people sick or hurt to continue to get checks every month. Drug companies. Somebody's asking, well, what about the drug companies? Well, when you have, like nonprofit hospitals, for example, let's say it's a mental hospital, right? They get money. They don't get paid private pay like a regular doctor would. Let's say it's a mental hospital, for example. Even if people don't belong there, even if people are rational, and even if people don't need drugs, they'll lock people up that don't need to be there just because, especially if those people have government health insurance, they're being paid to keep those people there, and then they're being paid to drug those people and force pills down their throat that they don't need. And then you have to also understand big pharmaceuticals and the way that they work. I come from I grew up in a restaurant. So let me give you an example about Coke and Pepsi. Also, did you know that Subway is switching to Pepsi products? Let me get some water, speaking of. Yeah, let me explain this. So, when I saw that last week, I remember thinking to myself, and I actually asked this out loud to somebody who I was standing next to, who also has long-standing ties to the restaurant industry. And in fact, it was my biological mother. Before those incidents last week. The reason I mentioned that, she needed to get a drink. And they didn't have what she wanted because Subway was switching to Coke product or Pepsi products. And I remember saying, I wonder what they offered Subway in order to get them to switch, because they've been with Coke for so long. And she said, probably something, something. And the reason that conversation happened was because years ago, Pepsi came to my mom at the restaurant and they asked her to switch from Coke, which we've been at for years, Coke products, to Pepsi. Let me finish this one card before I finish the story, okay? So back to this. Drug companies with all of the stuff here, the harassment, the abuse, the Munchausen by proxy, all of the stuff, these are huge crimes. And so Divine Masculine's like, if we have to hire a lawyer to take this to the top, then let's do it. If we've got to take this to Supreme Court, then let's do it, especially where there's kidnapping or custodial kidnapping and parental alienation going on. The Supreme Court classifies parental alienation as kidnapping. So that's a huge issue. 3033. And that's why he's saying, if we have to hire a lawyer, so be it. I know it'll be worthwhile. Legally speaking, we already have a winning case. And he also knows that the payouts that'll come from the damages that are due to Divine Feminine as a result of this are far greater than any amount that any lawyer would ever charge. So it's not a loss hiring a lawyer. In fact, the lawyer would be a way for them to make the gains that they're entitled to. And I say they because it's like Divine Masculine wanting to help Divine Feminine, and I'm already seeing it. It's like he wants to be married to her, and it has nothing to do with the resources, especially if he's coming in with them here for the lawyer, seems like. Because self-sufficient, he says he knows she's self-sufficient. He's a hard worker, and she's not looking to take from him. But them coming together, any gains that he helps her make because he plans to love her forever, because he plans to connect with her, commit to her, settle down with her in the best ways possible, it's not a loss, it's an investment, he's saying. Like, let's say, you know, I spend $10,000 on a lawyer. It's a random number, just the one that came to mind. Could be way less in some cases for some, could be, I guess it could be more, it depends on the case, but it's like millions come out of the damages. That lawyer might be paid $10,000 to do the job, but they get millions of dollars in damages from the settlements that come from the cases being finished. That the lawyer runs probably clearly, I say here, to Supreme Court. Those all just fell out on accident. A cat knocked those over and I listened. Okay. So back to Coke and Pepsi. Years ago, Pepsi came to the restaurant and asked my mom to switch. And Mom said, no, we're not switching from Coke. And they said, well, I noticed that your awnings outside, meaning those overhang curtain kind of things, that restaurants or some businesses will have kind of like a patio cover. And they hang over the doorsteps or the windows of a building, so when you stand underneath them outside, you're not standing directly in the rain. They're still covering over you. It's like what are those called? They have them for certain events, like these tents that they set up, or you can bring them to the beach so that you have a covering at the beach. Just stick the 4 posts in the ground, and then it has a covering. They're called awnings. But awnings can be very expensive. And they said, well, we noticed you need new awnings. This is Pepsi. Pepsi said, we noticed you need new awnings, which can be at least a few $1,000s at minimum, on average. And they said, if you switch to Pepsi, we'll buy you new awnings. And my mom said, well, I have to go think about it and talk to the other business partners. And then Coke came back in and said, hey, are you ready to order? And my mother said, well, Pepsi came in and offered us new awnings. They offered to pay for new awnings, which they did need at that point. if we switched. And Coke said, we'll buy the new awnings for you if you stay. If you don't drop our business for the competition, we'll give you whatever it was that they were offering. They said they'll give you that in order to leave us. We'll give you that in order for you to stay. So that is just Coke and Pepsi. But that's exactly how the pharmaceutical industries also work. They send out people to sell their drugs. Different drug companies have agents that go to different hospitals and things to sell their drugs. And specific hospitals sometimes will be contracted to sell specific types of drugs or a specific brand from a specific drug company. And if they sell enough or push a certain quota, then they get discounts, or they get bonuses, or they get some kind of benefits. They get some kind of, right, like Coke and Pepsi both offering to buy new outdoor awnings, like window coverings, curtains for a restaurant, so people could stand outside in the rain and not get wet, or stand in the sun and not be scorched on. Coke offering the new awnings, thousands of dollars worth of equipment in order for somebody to stay a customer, and Pepsi offering thousands of dollars of equipment in order to gain a new customer. The drug companies do the same things. And so if doctors and people at those hospitals or running the hospitals are getting payouts and cuts, and I'm maybe even going on freaking vacations and stuff with some of these sales associates or the people that own the drug companies, then what motive do they have to look for the patient's best interest when they're making profit off of drugging people, including people who don't need to be drugged? Food for thought. Sounds like a conspiracy if you don't know how those hospitals run and how that setup works, but unfortunately it is. Or you wouldn't think that that's possible. You'd think that that's how, sales industries work, and you couldn't have that in a hospital because there are supposed to be quality control settings and what have you, but unfortunately, drug companies are all about sales. It's called big pharmaceuticals. Cheers. There's also big chemicals. Did you know that sometimes the people that are on the drug companies, these big chemical companies, they'll switch jobs. Sometimes they work at the government in job positions where they pass certain laws or allow certain things to go through and claim that they're safe, even if they're not. And then when they're not working those jobs, when it's not convenient for them to be sitting on a board and passing laws that benefit them and their drug companies, then they go back to the drug companies to work whatever angle of the job that they're working. But the different jobs that they have conflict each other. One is about safety standards and one is about making unsafe sales. So it's like if they'll go to the drug company to get these chemicals ready to sell, and then they'll go work in the government and make sure that their chemicals are legally allowed to be sold. They'll make unsafe chemicals at the drug company, and then they'll go sit on a board to make sure their unsafe chemicals can be passed for production. Meaning they've got a conflict of interest. Why would you let somebody on a board of safety regulations who has motive not to follow safety standards when it means that it will negatively and financially affect their drug company? It happens a lot, especially in big chemical industries, especially in regards to the names that are coming to mind are Monsanto, as well as DuPont, those ones. The ones that make really toxic chemicals for a variety of reasons. And they want those things to be allowed to be sold, and they want to keep making these toxic chemicals because they're making money off of it. Why would you let somebody like that go work on a safety agency at the government where they're not going to want to shut down the chemicals that their drug company is wanting passed? They're going to pass them so they can go back to the drug company and sell them, because that's what's been happening. It's not a secret. The lists of employees are public. It's just that they expect nobody to put the pieces together, or the ones that do, they expect nobody to listen to them. The information is out there, though. You just have to care. That's all. No way. So I was on the yoga mat. I hit the mat a couple times today, in fact, but before the nap, after the nap, I hit the yoga mat. However, when I was on the mat before I took a nap, to my surprise, it's hard to surprise me, Callie popped through. I did not call her, but I have been talking to God and I have been talking to the universe, right? And it makes sense that Callie would come through. She's a warrior, but also a divine mother energy. And, well, my own biological mother has been an op. So does it not make sense, right at the bottom of the deck, does it not make sense that Mother Callie would come through? I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. Hello. I didn't call her. But I am a daughter of the universe. I'm also a mother. Sisterhood energy. I've had to stand up for people. I've had to stand up for myself. I know how to embody both sides of the sword. Both sides of the blade, I heard. Duality. I honor my anger by giving voice to it. I am pure strength. And they misjudged. They thought that they were doing something, or they had some kind of power. If I can antagonize the light worker, I'm doing something. No. You're giving the motive to do something about you. I am one with my soul. You know what? I posted that in the community board. I hear silence. I'm at peace with your violence. I'm at one, he says. I've been silent for so long. We're not doing that anymore. Look, the high priestess. And didn't I say that druidic energy that came out? It's giving divine masculine being the high priest to divine feminine's high priestess. I'm at one with my soul, and my soul is a legacy of love. There's a karmic male trying to laugh and play the tough guy, but really he's intimidated. What did I say about that warrior energy? There it is. I'm a warrior of love. My devotion attracts resources and support. Now, what did I say? Also about divine masculine coming through on both sides of the blade. Right? She doesn't want to have to defend herself, he says, but she does. And I mean, she has had little to no support. Of course, the universe comes through to support her, even without her asking. Comes to support a daughter of the universe. Of course, the universe, Mother Callie, comes to support a sister, a fellow protector. I am safe and divinely protected. Callie's a divine feminine energy. She gets a bad rap because of the complexities of her nature, but truly, while she's a force, she's also a mother energy. She is a variation of of Isis and of Aphrodite and even of Freya. It's just a Hindu version in a variety of ways, but they all take their turns. I am divinely safe and protected. I am held in love at all times. Yeah, see, they put her through hell. I didn't expect her to come out an angel. I have nothing to hide. I see and accept all that I am. And they wonder why she won't give them her time or access to her. Angels don't live in hell, dude. All you did was create chaos. We seek to alchemize. I am an eternal flame, and each day my light glows brighter. Speaking of, what did I say in the beginning? Right, with the lights? Yeah. Ooh. And I made a post about your girl today, too. I just split the deck. There was a post about hair cutting. I have a steel-like faith in myself. The angels armor me in conviction. Also, steel. I made a post about iron and steel today. And so one of my favorite book series growing up was Wicked Lovely. And it's about the Fae. And I forgot until yesterday. I was actually walking across the street. And I got this download all of a sudden about how in the book the Fae it's like iron is poisonous to them, whether it be raw iron or in the form of steel. It's very hard for them. But I laughed because I got a flash all of a sudden of this parallel, because I'm actually allergic to most metal, to much metal, especially low-grade metal. Gold has to be 14 karat or higher quality, for example. It can't be lower, or I get hives and allergic. My skin breaks out into a rash. I'm allergic. But actually, so is my mom and my sister. And then also, all of us have had specifically iron-related blood issues at certain points in our life. All of which paralleled right to the book. I thought it was quite funny. Being that I do have Celtic, like Fae connected reverence, hello Freya, and then also the royal bloodline. Hemophilia is a royal blood disorder, typically, or it runs in the royal family. And actually, my mom, I hemorrhaged when my daughter was born, but so did my mom when I think both my sister and I were born. Definitely with me. I'm spiritually and financially abundant. I provide heaven and earth for myself. And that's what I picked up, like self-sufficient or something Divine Masculine said earlier. You know, she's or independent or something. She's a hard worker. It's not like, she doesn't want to lean on me, but people have been putting her in a point where she hasn't really had much of a choice. It would be harder for her not to, and he says I want to protect her and it will make her life easier, so I'm going to do that. Oh. I want you to want me. I need you to need me. There's another one too. I wanna be there when you need me the most. I wanna be there when you don't need me at all. Let me be the one that you call. Let me be the one that you call. The one that you call. I wanna put my hands around your waist. You're the highlight of my day. The prophetess of the sacred way, exactly. My heart is a compass. The path of love is true abundance. Ah, exactly. Exactly. And that's what he was just saying. I also made a post earlier about Native American reference here. It was the haircutting, the Joan of Arc haircutting thing, and how Native Americans actually deem hair as sacred. They typically will only cut it for ceremonial purposes, and or in some tribes for grief, when they're grieving. The Blue Avatar movie was based or has parallels around this. The way that their hair is sacred to them, and then they also use it to connect with each other. They use it to connect with their animals. They use it to connect with the spirit tree and their ancestors. And the natives see it as like an antenna to spirit, something that connects them to source. Also, the government, this belief system of the natives caused the military, the government, to do an experiment. They took two First Nation, I believe First Nation defenders, they took two Native American soldiers. They made one of them buzz their hair, just like the rest of the soldiers, and then they let the other one leave their hair long, or keep it in a braid, I believe, at least. And they sent two of these Native American trackers out to see if they could. Basically, they were testing. Can you still track with your haircut? The one who had his hair buzzed was caught almost immediately. The one who was able to keep his hair long, I believe for a couple of days. Wasn't it a couple of days? I have to check on the time frame, but I think it was a couple of days. He managed to last through the whole experiment, the whole session. I think it was till sunup, actually. I think, if I recall, it might have been when the sun rose, the experiment ended. But the point was for him to get through the night in enemy territory. So they didn't actually send him out into enemy territory. They sent him out into the jungle, and then they sent out their own teammates to act as enemy territory, and their teammates' jobs were to go find and track down the Native American with the long hair. And they were out there the whole time looking for him. They almost caught him a couple of times, but even when they did, he managed to get himself up and out of there. The one who had their hair buzzed seemed to lose their capability of dodging and getting caught and being able to track his way out of danger or from point A to point B. But the native who was able to keep his hair even took a couple of naps halfway through this session. And even in his sleep, and I understand this astrally speaking, he was able to sense when they were getting close and still get himself up and away from being captured. So it was quite an interesting thing. That's so funny. I was just hearing, you really do channel. When you're writing in your community board, you're not just popping off. You really are channeling. Yeah, exactly. And as I was picking up that download, this just popped out of the center of the deck. Saint of spoken words. Every word I say becomes a prayer. I'm the author of my own story. So that's why the cards come out to reflect what I'm speaking, because I'm just channeling. The Saint of authenticity. I was just telling you what was coming up, and they misjudged. I was just channeling and educating. I guess they thought I was upset, so they thought that they would try to be instigative. But like I said, people can see them doing that. People already knew that they shouldn't be doing that. People saw that they should stop, and then they started again. They started again what? After light workers said, "Oh, look, I'm healing." Oh, damn it, the karmic says, I need to instigate to try to hurt people. That's why you're going to prison. And we get to move on. We get to move on and brush these karmics off like water on a duck's back. I just heard the karmic female. She's getting arrested for tampering with investigation. Docket number PA-2024. I could give you the whole docket number, I won't. But I saw that. She's getting arrested. That's 2 this week that I've seen. The other one was a karmic male, but they're part of the same stalking group. So, ooh, guess what just popped out again? Told you. But they're done. Do you know why Joan of Arc also cut her hair? It kept her from getting sexually assaulted. That was the goal, anyway. Isn't it sad, though, that she felt like she had to do that to protect herself? And she was murdered, too. She was persecuted and murdered, and then canonized as a saint after she was murdered. And they tried to bully her through the legal system, too. Callie, you wanted to leave my divine feminine alone? The universe says, nah, I'll come through for her. In the form of a warrior goddess. 11:11 here on the clock on the East Coast. Checkmate. She is not the one you want to mess with. You think she's all alone? It's because you can't see who's standing beside and behind her. You can't see who's standing in front of her. Just like you couldn't see the little demons and shadow entities chasing after you the other day, karmic, before you decided to instigate and stir the pot again. Why do you think the warrior goddess came out? Everybody knows what you're doing, including the government now. So first we have, my soul informs my every step, and I do what my heart compels me to do. Like speak up and hold these criminals accountable. The goddess of never not broken. Everything happens for my liberation. I choose to become only more love. Okay, so I actually got a vision of this before I started this live. Yesterday when I did the aura sweep, I noticed there were a lot of energies. There were holes in the aura, so I did a second sweep of it after working on cutting the cords, any cords of connection that didn't belong there. And when I did the second aura sweep, what I noticed was that the aura was much more secure and set. It was like the inside of an egg that's been unbroken. You know how the shell of an egg is really smooth and very hard? It was kind of like that. Before it was very brittle, it had holes in it. But I could still see, which is why I keep coming back to help, I could still see that there were cracks in it. It was more like kintsugi, though. The Japanese, I believe it's Japanese pottery, where they take pottery like this and they will shatter it, and then they'll take liquid gold and glue each piece together. So every piece is unique and different, and it's really pretty because the cracks in this, the seams where you use the gold as glue, the gold shines through the cracks. And so it almost looks like cracks of golden lava that are splitting through this piece of pottery. They're really pretty. Again, like the light worker at this point, it's solid, it's secure, it's still a whole, you could fill the bowl with water and it would hold water. It's not like it's broken anymore. But you can see where there were cracks. The wound is where the light enters, though. It's almost like porcelain. I mentioned Isis too. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. Yeah, I'm picking up these karmics are scared. I we misjudged. She's gonna put us in jail. There's one karmic male, though, who's behind it all, who seems to have recruited the rest. And he says, not if I have anything to do with it. But that's the thing, is he doesn't. He's in trouble with them. There's nothing he can do. Why do you think Callie came out? I don't believe in Kelly. That doesn't mean she won't kick your butt. 61:16. I am a love that doesn't leave. When I commit to love, my soul evolves. I see the light in my own darkness. I face my ego beliefs to feel free. Somebody's asking, weren't you scared when Callie just popped up on you? Why would I be afraid of somebody who's showing up with love and support because she resonates with me and we understand each other's stories? Why would I be afraid of somebody who's trying to come up as a sisterhood, protect, like a big sister almost? To protect, why? You should be afraid of her, not me. The language of the natural world is the frequency of love. This is my mother tongue. Yeah. It's giving also Artemis. Artemis and Diana have a crossover too. Unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. And I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. Something about manifesting. Divine Masculine says, I'm proud of you, and there she goes again. As I look at the bottom of the deck. She took this karmic. This looks like one of those like demon emojis, right, that I use for the karmics sometimes. Cut the heads off the snakes. So that's the crowning energy, meaning all these people are being forced out. If people were trying to dodge criminal charges for causing harm to light workers and escaping the damages of what they've done, that's all backfiring on them pronto. It's time to be the truth of who I am. It's why they're being exposed so hard. And then the crowning energy. Love is what sets me free. I'm married to my own soul. So I can't be pushed or pulled in any one direction. Divine Masculine says, what about me? Well, if the counterparts are reflections of each other's soul, then that shouldn't be a problem, right? Not if he comes through. But the fact that she commits to herself is why she won't settle. It's one of those, I wouldn't let my own Divine Masculine treat me like that. You think I'm going to let you treat me like that? Kind of a deals. It's a standard. If anybody's equipped to meet that standard, it's him more so than anybody else. It's just a choice. I am my authentic self in all my circumstances. We are all sacred mirrors. Look, see, as I said that, reflecting back the same light. And I hold the universe within me. I am the force of an ever-expanding love. I'm also picking up fertility. I've been picking that up for some. It's these divine masculines. They're really wanting to have families with their divine feminine. He says settling down with my divine feminine sounds good, healthy, and safe and comfortable. Not boring, he says, just happy. He says you're what I've prayed for. I hear when I pray for you, I also hear I prayed for you. They're two separate songs. I didn't know you from Adam, he says, but I prayed for you. Somebody's asking, well, how do you pray for somebody you don't know? If you're praying for, you know, a good partner or whatever type of blessing in a situation, you might not know who your future person is. Like, God, please send me my soulmate. You might not have a name or a face to the person, but you prayed for that person, yeah? So when they show up and you realize that that's your person, now you have a name and a face to it, but you also realize, whoa, I prayed for this, and here they are. God answered my prayers. This is also where sometimes people fumble, especially the people who fell, because sometimes prayers come in different ways than you expect. They don't always come in the package that you expect, or they come in a sometimes the person that you're meant to be with is different than your usual type, and usually that's for a reason. Maybe your usual type wasn't your type. It wasn't good for you, so God sent you who was. But anyway, and when I say usual type, it doesn't have to be about physicality. This could be anything. This could be that this person happens to be more into spirituality and the others just weren't, or this could be that this person is very independent and the others weren't, whatever the case may be. I hear a divine masculine say she doesn't ask for help. But she deserves it, so I'm going to give it to her. I hear she'd rather do things on her own and do things independently. And in some cases, that's a trauma response, hyper independence. She's learned not to ask for help because help didn't come. The people who were supposed to be supportive or helpful weren't. So you just know that it's not even worth the energy or effort asking. Generally speaking, it's what it comes down to. So you don't anymore. And B, if you don't ask, then you can't be disappointed, kind of a thing. And since you already know that the people around you weren't supportive, why would you put yourself in that position or even give them the power to say no? No. Divine Masculine says that's sad. Oh, I agree. It's very sad that someone would be pushed into that level of hyper independence. Yeah, he says, so it's a very big thing when somebody asks for help in that state. Yep. Like a last resort. They've creatively problem solved themselves into having no more solutions. Or you had people trying to block every attempt at creatively problem solving a solution. For every solution a light worker created, a karmic tried to create a new problem. And that's just who they are, right? We seek to find the solution for every problem. They seek to find a problem for every solution. They're just negative. And then they want to blame us or try to block us. That's changing the goalpost. And trying to crazy make and use word salad. It's just narcissism. That's all. You know, Callie's not the only one who comes to my aid, right? Well, I've got friends in all places. Embraced by light, mission uncovered, don't give up. Spiritual acceleration, progress, and technology. I just got a flash of this Wicked Witch next door being... That's who I saw getting arrested earlier. For tampering with investigations, trying to cause problems. Because the attempt at sleep deprivation and what have you, it's not just instigative and retaliative. It's an attempt to try to burn me out so that I don't have the energy or the focus to finish putting these people in prison and pressing charges. And as a result of that, helping my child who's being abused and held captive. Hence, I'm sure why the Supreme Court card also came out and both lawyer cards. So, because they've been using technology, in this case, spy cameras and Christmas lights like psycho freaks, to harass people. Stalking online to boot. All-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, serenity. And I saw one of the other people, it was a karmic male in this group, a day or so ago, also in the community board. I put the docket number in there. Actually, now I'm being called. I was being told to wait earlier. Now I'm being called to give them both. Hancock County Court, Ellsworth, Maine. Docket numbers PA-2022-177 and PA-2022-176. And there's a karmic male who's laughing, but guess what? He's the one who recruited all of these people, and these people are upset with him because now they're in trouble for ganging up with him. They're in trouble for tampering with an investigation that he didn't want to be in trouble for. They involved themselves. They got themselves in criminal trouble by trying to help him cover up his crimes. By helping him target a victim in order to cover up his crimes or distract from his crimes. And I try to flip the script on who was the victim and who was the target based on trying to claim that a victim being upset about being targeted was the criminal being harassed. Which is crazy, but that's what they do. It's called the DARVO tactic. DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender roles. Thank you. Resolution. Harmony in the heavens coming together. Yeah. So they couldn't stop the divine masculines and the feminines from coming together regardless. And they couldn't stop the trouble that they're in either. Ah, look, I just split the deck again. Temple of Truth. Throat chakra. Authenticity. Expression. Clearing old stories, releasing past lives and freedom, yeah. Including repeat cycles, anchoring, grounded energy, Isis energy. Yep, that came out in the other deck too, the Isis card alone. The mother, the nurturer, the protector. She also is a grief healer. She's determined. She's a warrior too. But she would prefer not to have to be. Can I get a few for Divine Masculine, please? Actually, I'm being called to not to do it that way. Hold on. Let's just do the light workers. It's because they're karmic cross watchers. It's none of their business. You are profoundly clairvoyant. I told you I saw it this morning when I woke up. I saw her playing with the lights in a vision, and so I expected that. And there she goes, doing nothing but proving my point that I'm highly psychic and that she's just not very smart. But I expected that. It's why, like I said, books, information. I wrote down in the community board that bit about regulating a sleep schedule. But she's already, she called my mom on the 4th of July busy week at the restaurant when they were slammed to try to complain about me. And she, actually no, she had her older sister do it. This is somebody like 60 years old or something, had her older sister call my mom on one of the busiest weeks of the year to complain. And in this complaint, they said, oh, I don't like the fact that she's telling the truth about us on the internet, which translated into, I'm stalking your daughter online, Kelly. Crazy pants. I hear Brother by Codaline. Rose quartz. This has Delray's hair in it. Somebody asks why. Because his mother kidnapped his ashes from me. And I'm psychic. So when the angels told me to save some of his hair from a haircut before he died, I did. And in retrospect, it's because they knew that when he died, she was going to keep his ashes from me. So if I hadn't done that, there would be nothing in his urn. Weird, but this is why I listen. They know what's coming before I do. I mean, really, I knew too. I picked up the death prophecy 9 months in advance. It's just that everything was fine and stable when I picked it up. I just picked it up early. Is she wrong, or is she just right too early? It's definitely not the type of thing I enjoy being correct about. But speaking of, you are highly sensitive to chemicals, additives, processed food, and energies right now. Respect your sensitivities by avoiding harsh items, situations, people, and relationships, and that's why we're not dealing with these karmics. Ask the angels to release any toxic energies that you may have absorbed. Somebody says, I bet you living next to an energy vampire is really terrible. Yeah, it's not been great. I definitely liked the other neighbor better. She wasn't perfect. She definitely had her quirks and her stuff, but she was much better. I mean, I had her over for dinner. She helped me get my cat to the vet one day. This psycho next door put my cat in the vet. They're not the same. Polar opposite, comparatively speaking. And that's the truth. The angels are helping you, lovingly speaking. And that's why they're being released. They've got to go. Work with Archangel Michael to let go of what no longer serves you or your purpose. And guess who just popped out behind that? Archangel Michael. Thank you for clearing any attachments to fear that stem from past relationships, freeing you from destructive patterns. And as far as the karmics go, I forgive you for being clowns, but we're not buying tickets to your circus, and I wouldn't take them if they were free. Not my circus, not my monkeys, not my clowns. I've got a page on my website about indigos. A true indigo will resonate with every one of the categories, if not almost all of them. I think I resonate with every one but like one or two of them. Many people can have some of the traits, but a true indigo will resonate with all of them or just about all of them. And if that's not the case, majority speaking, then that's not an indigo. Express yourself and awaken your psychic senses through magical powers of music and movement. When I got up from the nap, I was hearing Better Half of Me by Tom Walker. So there's a true love coming through that's of a past life basis. It comes from a place of, what did I mention about the Fae too? From a place of integrity and honesty. I think this is a healthy connection, but also there are karmics who have been trying to chase people through the lives to continue to finish stalking them because they are little demons and they didn't feel like they had their fill. In some cases, people got in trouble for doing this to others in other lives, and they were literally stopped in their track, in some cases guillotined or killed for their crimes, in accordance to the law, based on whatever structures were going on at that point. In some cases, it was the guillotine. So they were literally killed for terrorizing people, and then they came back mad that they were interrupted in terrorizing people and got consequences for it and tried to pick up where they left off to the Earth Angel that they were guillotined for bullying in other lives. It won't always be that narrative, but happened to Empress Josephine. He had her falsely arrested for his crimes first, but then he was guillotined for his. It is safe for you to see the energy of love in all its forms, such as angels, auras, and visions. Yeah, I told you. And I also saw first of all, Callie. Hello. But the Wicked Witch next door, a few days ago I saw these dark shadow energies, these demon spirits going into her bedroom or her living room. It was through the back of the property. Because that's the energy she's in. Either that or they've been sending stuff at me and so it's going back at them now, either way. Either they're in such low energy that's what's going towards them, or they called on something they shouldn't have. But I have protection. So I saw the dark spirits chasing after them, but I also have fierce protection. Love. I hear love, yeah. I'm getting called to drop the mic right there. Please remember to pray. Do no harm. Take no crap. And I will catch you, darlings, on the next one. Blessings and namaste.